Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Flame, or you guess you could call me by my real name. I don't really care. Anywho, today we are going to be working on Windows. Now, you may be thinking, well, what's wrong with Windows? I installed it. There's like plenty of stuff to do. Why even bother? I mean, it seems like my computer is performing fine. Well, today I watched a video by Jay's 2 Cents, and he showed how you can actually make a lower end system improve by doing a bunch of software tweaking. And then that got me thinking. I forgot that I did so much software tweaking for my computer that I literally had a zero idle. Like, obviously now when I'm not recording and I have all these apps open, I have like not a zero idle, but you get the point. It's basically zero idle, and really that is impressive for a system like this. So probably the first thing that I like to do right off the bat as soon as I install Windows is I open up the task manager and I just see what's taking up the most processing, what's taking up the most processes. Now, do not, and I mean do not, it may be tempting if you see one of these service hosts taking up all your resources. Do not quit it. That is an essential Windows service and it will cause your system to blue screen. Don't ask me how I figured that out. I did that a long time ago and it actually caused me to lose my operating system because that was the essential service that was telling my computer to page. And, oh well, you live and learn. To start off here, I usually just look in the task manager to see what is running. So, if we take a look, obviously I have OBS running because I'm recording this video, Spotify running because I have my music in the background, and then I also have all these other processes, though, that don't really matter. Like, for a good example, if I can find it in here, I know it's in here. And sometimes it doesn't like to show up, but there's a process called Windows indexing. Now, if you do constant searching using your search bar, which I don't, I usually just do Control R or Windows R and run stuff using the run command, but that's just me. Search actually is a serious memory hog, and a lot of people do not know that. So basically, if you just see, yeah, right here, there it is, Microsoft Windows Search Indexer. This is constantly refreshing in the background. This will steal resources from you. I just quit that because it actually literally takes up like 40 megabyte of your RAM just doing nothing. Also, I apologize for the tone of my voice today, but I have allergies and, well, they're kind of bad today. So, anywho, moving back. So, this is actually an SSD-based system, which means the response times are like 0.3 milliseconds. Now, it's going to sound stupid, but Windows still thinks you have a hard drive if you have an SSD installed in your system. That is the dumbest thing I know, right? So, it's going to constantly be defragging in the background because it thinks it's a hard drive. And I didn't know this until a few weeks ago. So I actually end this task and then go into my services and disable it because it literally is useless if you have an SSD. And now that moves on to our second point. Once you've gone through Task Manager, look through all your startup applications, make sure they're all disabled. The only one that I keep enabled is Vanguard because, well, I use it. It's for my game, Valorant here. It's their engine. If you don't launch it when it launches Windows, then basically you aren't going to be able to play the game. All right, now back on to my second point here. If we go to here, and I don't want to take any more memory, I'm just going to type services. It should open up services, but obviously my run isn't working right now for some reason. I gotta love videos, you know? Things just go wrong all the time. Click services here. Now, this is actually kind of risky. The first time I went through this list, I didn't know what I was doing. Now, when I look through this list, I know exactly what I'm doing. But if you are a first-time user watching this video, or maybe just someone who knows tech and has probably went through this list before, there are a lot of things in here to disable that you can literally gain performance from instantly almost. So now, the first thing I love to disable is a little thing I like to call Windows telemetry. Now, telemetry is a serious resource hog. It takes your RAM, it takes your disk, it takes your CPU, and all it's doing is just sending information to Microsoft. It is 100% useless. So what you do is you click on here, you right click, you hit properties, and just click disable, apply, and if it's running, stop it, and then do it. All right, moving on. We're gonna keep going down. If you don't use any of these or whatever, you just look. Some of these are actually essential, but like Microsoft Defender antivirus service, it will not let you disable this by default. There's a workaround that you're going to have to do to get rid of Windows Defender if you use a different virus protection software. Like, for example, I use Malwarebytes, so I don't need Windows Defender. In fact, I only do a scan like once every couple of months. And going back to what I said about this, look at this. You got Microsoft Edge update service. Now, I know some of you do use Edge, but for me, I use Google Chrome. I just don't see any ideas here, like to use Edge. Edge is kind of just useless to me at this point. Now, these things are pretty stupid as well. Microsoft Passport, these are just, yeah, you could disable these, but I don't. I have them on manual and you start them, but I've figured that this service actually does contribute to some of the Windows services in the background that store your passwords and junk like that. So that's why I don't do that. Now, obviously we're getting down to some of the other stuff that is kind of Windows stuff that you can't disable, but there are a couple of things down here that you can disable. I know I'm not sounding too good about this, but probably the biggest one that I use personally, this is only and only if you have multiple users on the computer. I am the only user on my computer, so there's no reason for me to have secondary logon on. Basically, all this does is it just brings back everything that you had open before if you log out. But I don't have any other users on here, so I just disable it. It's kind of a useless service, to be honest. Big one here that I think every single person by now has to know about is sysmain. Sysmain, as known as superfetch back in the old 1809 days or 1803 days of Windows, is a resource hog. This claims to maintain and improve system performance over time, which it tries to do, but it fails miserably. It just takes your resources more than it actually helps. Disable this immediately when you install Windows, because you will notice a significant amount of speed increase if you disable sysmain. Now, there's other Windows services down here that I personally don't use, but I have disabled myself. Big one that I don't like to disable, I just switch these to manual. These are set to automatic by default. Windows update services, you can set those to manual. Those are set usually by default to automatic. You want to set those to manual just so that when you start up your computer, you are the one who controls your updates, not Windows. Anything down here, if you're not a person who uses an Xbox, disable all the Xbox services, and we are done with the services application. Now, the next part, I would highly recommend doing this before you go and do this. We are going to create a restore point. Now, you're probably wondering, why didn't we just do that from the start? Well, you could do that from the start, but everything I've done up till this point is not system harming. All this will do is just make it so that you don't do something wrong with your system. So I'm just going to name it video backup. You create it, and note, system restores points do actually take some of your disk space. It takes around 2 to 3 gigabyte of your disk space per image, but you can actually offload it to a second drive if you really want to. But personally, I've never seen a need for this. Like, see right here, that is my most recent recommended restore, but you can actually choose restore points and restore from that. So if you do screw something up, you can go back into safe mode and just restore. Now on to the sketchy stuff. Oh geez, me being a teen and all my voice, man, I just can't get over that, huh? All right. We have to go into the registry editor. Oh no, this is really bad. You shouldn't be in here. Oh, this is a scary place. Stop saying that. Registry editor is not scary. All right. Anyway, you basically got to go here. You got to go to your computer. You got to go to HKey local machine. You got to go to system. You got to go to controller set 001. You got to go to services. You want to scroll all the way down until you find a service, a little service called NDU. Now, this service right here in the NDU section, start. This is the Windows indexing profile. Now, this by default is set to a number like 2, 1, maybe even higher than that. But if you set it to 4, it's basically telling the system to ignore it altogether. And I'll tell you what this one tweak did for me. It is absolutely crazy. It brought my RAM usage down by a full 2 gigabytes at idle. I shit you not. I used to idle at 4 gigabytes of usage. Windows is absolutely ridiculous with their RAM usage. But this stops memory leaking, which used to be a problem back in 1803, 1809. It was almost impossible to run Windows on a system that had less than 2 gigabytes of RAM or even 4 gigabytes of RAM. But once you switch this value to 4, you hit OK, you restart. Obviously, we're not going to restart yet because we're not done with our tweaks, and so. Now, this next tweak is optional. I mean, everybody does it on YouTube. You see it everywhere. But you basically adjust the performance and appearance of Windows. Now, you can copy my settings that you see right here. These are the ones that I usually just keep on. I have animate controls and elements inside windows, and show thumbnails instead of icons, show window contents while dragging, smooth edges and screen fonts, smooth scrolling, and use a drop shadow for the desktop icons. Those are all non-resource intensive. Now, if you really want to get into advanced stuff, you can go in and you can set your own page file. Now, this is only if you have less than 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it's actually really unhealthy for your SSD. It will just slam and slam and slam your cache if you run out of RAM, aka making your system slow and unresponsive even if you have an SSD. Yes, it can do that, and it will do that. Now, once you've went through and you've done that, you should see this. So, say I want to open up a file manager, all right? You'll see that it is fairly smooth. But I want you to notice something. Look, Windows animations are gone. I can minimize, I can bring it back up again. They're just gone. But it makes it feel snappier, faster, all that other stuff. So that's why I like to do it. The final, I guess, kind of tweak I usually do when I use Windows is I like to download a program, a nifty, handy program called Windows 10 Debloater. Now, this program is open source. It is made by the Windows 10 community, and someone made it, put their way out of it. Jay just used it in his most recent video. I honestly recommend it, but you probably don't know the order to run it in. which I am going to show you today. Once you've downloaded it, you're going to want to make a new folder, shove it in there, make it debloater, whatever. Then once you've done that, you can just, boom, you can just delete it like that. Anywho, back to here. Now, the Windows 10 debloating software, you have to run it in a specific order. I know Jay in his video, he just opened up the debloater GUI, but there's actually a thing called sysprep debloater. Now, if you run that first, which by the way I usually run it is I open it up, I copy and paste it, because not running it as an administrator will make it so that it doesn't work. So then I copy it, and then I go here and I type in PowerShell, and I just run it as an administrator. And then I would paste it right there and then hit enter. And then after that, you can run all that other stuff. But they actually do have the individual scripts here if you just want to copy and paste stuff. Like, I can open this with Notepad right now, put that inside of PowerShell, and it will disable Cortana. There's even a revert changes. If you don't like the changes that this made, it will revert them all back, which I don't know why you would want that, but you can. So that's just another nifty, handy tool you can use, and I honestly use that on a daily basis. Now we're getting into some of the advanced tweaks. Now, if you're not an advanced tweaker for Windows, you should probably avoid most of these steps. Now, I'm going to open this on my second monitor just so that I don't have any issues, but actually, why not? I'm just going to put all these on my second desktop. Well, okay, my first desktop. So basically, you want to download this program. I am going to make a custom link to this because there is no place at all where I can find this utility. I literally had to go through the depths of the web to find this utility right here. MSI mode utility. Now, you're probably asking, what the heck does this do? Is it a virus? Is it a malware? Is it something else? No. It's actually a program that makes it so that your GPU is 100% priority in Windows. That is right. Windows actually makes it so that your GPU is a lower priority than everything else. I know that sounds crazy, but my GPU right here that I have, the NVIDIA GeForce 1660, is actually low priority by default. So you could be seeing 10, 15% less performance than you pay for. Say you bought two 2080s and you have them in NVLink and you're getting crappy performance and you're thinking, wow, I was supposed to be getting 90, 80 FPS when I'm running at 4K. Well, this might be the reason why. So obviously I have two GPUs installed in my system. They're not matching. That's another video I can show you, by the way, about how to make non-matching GPUs stay in the system with each other. Anywho, back to my point. Basically, you just want to download this utility. I'll have all the links for these things in the description. You find your GPU. It should stick out to you right like an eye. You hit the MSI button and hit that. And you switch this from undefined to high and basically find all your GPUs and set them to high, and then hit apply, refresh just to make sure they're applied, and you're done. Now, the final and last thing that I personally like to do is just manually overclock my system. Now, I know that seems a bit sketchy to you if you don't know how to go into the BIOS and do all that stuff, but if you do know how to go into the BIOS, and if you want me to make a separate video on how to overclock, then that's all up to you. But after you've done some overclocking and you found your overclock, you may notice that you're getting different results than you expected for your overclock. Well, it's not entirely your fault. In fact, if you look here in the power plan for my system, aka the balanced Ryzen plan, and you click here and you hit change advanced settings, you may notice I have a special thing here in processor management that is not available by default. and this is processor performance core parking utilization threshold. Basically, what this is set to by default is like 60% or some S like that. Yeah, I'm not swearing because I want this video to be available to everybody. Anywho, this is literally taking as much performance as it is. So, for example, I can't do this in my head, obviously, because I'm not very good at math, but 100 minus 60. Basically, you are getting 40% performance by just downloading this other tweak that I have right here. So, you do 100 on this, you hit apply, you run your Cinebench, ba-da-da-da-da, and wow, look at that. So this is where I was probably before I even bothered doing my overclocking by default. Well, I did do my overclocking and I got 4,059, and then I got 4,162 just by installing this tweak. I kid you not. It is literally the best tweak I have ever seen. I will also have a link to this in the description, but holy cow, does this thing actually do work. So basically, you want to download this thing called batstweaks.zip. I'll have a link for this in the description as well. I put it in my drive so I wouldn't lose it. Yes, it's a registry tweak. Yes, it's a bit dangerous, I know, but let me take you through the process of it. So you basically download it, you unzip it, and once you've unzipped it, then you just run it, go through the OK, hit yes, and once you've done that, you can go here, you can type power, and then go down here to edit power plan. Whatever power plan you're using, I would imagine you're using either high performance or balanced. I'd keep that on high performance or whatever you have there. You go to change plan settings, you go down, you hit processor power management after you've installed it, and you will see this processor performance core parking utilization overutilization threshold. And you just want to set this to 100% and watch your performance just fly through the roof with your CPU. It's honestly insane to me how much of a difference I saw as soon as I did this. I think I gained like roughly a 20 to 30% increase in performance just by doing that. Now, I'm recording right now, obviously, but basically there are some more things you can do while you're doing tweaks that I like to personally do. To gain a little bit more performance, I'm going to disable my preview, but basically I'm going to open up Cinebench R15 because I don't want to run a long test, and Cinebench R15 is pretty short. I'm going to run it. Bada bing, bada boom. Run a 100% load on my CPU. Bada bing, bada boom. It's just going like that. And this is the magic of 8 cores and 16 threads, people. I can record this at the same time while I'm doing a Cinebench, and it's probably going to dip performance just a tad bit. But hey, what are you going to get? I mean, it's just how things are. I mean, it's about to finish right here, and you can see even though I'm recording, I am still above what I would get normally. Now, obviously, I've done a lot of Cinebench R15s, as you can tell. I've not done not very many at all. I've done tons with my processor, just tweaking around. I almost hit 4.2 gigahertz to get the same score as I have now with 4.1 gigahertz and all these tweaks I've done before. This was with an unmodified version of Windows. I almost hit 4.2 gigahertz, and I got the same score using all the tweaks, but a lower processor speed. That to me was honestly insane, like when I saw it. Now, obviously, I don't want to do that, but really, honestly, we can just move on to the next thing. So if you have an NVIDIA GPU, you're going to want to go to your NVIDIA control panel, and you're just going to want to do these. So I'm not sure if most of you knew this, but this actually configures surround / PhysX or whatever. You're just going to have to set that to your GPU and dedicate it to PhysX. You do not want this rendering off of your CPU. It actually takes your performance and it tanks it a bit. I figured that out. Even if you're not doing that, PhysX engine is still used by a lot of applications and stuff like that. So basically, I'm pretty sure by this point, Anybody who's looking at this video is going to see that, oh, wow, he turned all his settings to off and high performance, and that instantly makes a difference in every game you play. Well, there's actually 2 settings in here that I like to keep normal, believe it or not. I like to set my power management to adaptive. And do you know why? Because if I launch MSI Afterburner here and I set it to what I have it at right here, as you can see, my speed is jumping around at idle and my temps are amazing. Now, I'm going to go into a different video about how to get your overclocking on a curve instead of having to do it manually by yourself, even though manual overclocking sometimes is better. Basically, what adaptive does is it goes only by your GPU usage. So it will only rise the clocks when your GPU is being fully utilized. So you're basically going to have all this performance headroom, but keep your temps low. And really, it does nothing to your CPU, to be honest. It does mostly work for your GPU. I like to keep texture filtering on high performance. And I also like to keep all this auto setting junk on and like all that other stuff. Next one's personal preference, but personally, I like to have G-Sync on because G-Sync actually makes a huge difference when I'm gaming, and I notice there's no tearing and stuff like that. G-Sync actually does take a bit of your processing performance because that's just an extra step that the GPU has to take to tell the monitor, hey, sync to this refresh rate, sync to this refresh rate, like constantly. And that actually does take a bit of your system resource. Trust me, I've went into that before. And really, it's just an option that you can enable, disable, but I personally didn't really notice a difference. But if you want to check and see if you notice a difference, then be my guest. All right. So I'm not sure if most of you know this, but manage 3D settings here, you can actually select a specific program. That is right. All you 3D markers out there, if you don't want to bother with all the auto shit that NVIDIA control panel gives you, then basically you just go in here and this sets it for the specific application only. So again, sorry about my allergies. It's just a really bad allergy day and I have allergies. So, all right. Right here, I'm just using Valorant as an example, but you can do this with any benchmark you want. You can do this with 3D Mark. You can do this with Superposition. You could do this with Heaven, for Christ's sake. Anywho, basically, I want to show you that you can just turn all these off on high performance, but if you don't want to tweak the global settings and you just want to have them normal for every other game, be my guest. Literally, you don't even have to change anything in the global settings. You can just change them for the specific program itself. It actually saves you a lot of time with having problems with other games. Like, I've had games that absolutely hate these global settings that I put in. Either way, it's just a bunch of tweaking and like setting changes. But yeah, that's basically how I set up Windows every time that I use Windows. And well, really, I would show you my Defender, but I uninstalled Defender using my registry tweaks. That's right, I fully uninstalled Windows Defender. And it makes a huge difference in RAM usage. See how the Windows indexer comes in here again? Yeah. Just disable that. You don't need it. Same thing with Microsoft Text Input application. That's for a mobile device or a mobile processor or whatever like that. You don't need that. My RAM usage is still very well available. I still have like 13 gigabyte of my RAM available to me. And that's all because of these tweaks I've done today. And really, honestly, the last thing I can probably recommend to you to increase your performance, just uninstall things. Like, I know people who like keep a bunch of stuff on their computer and they just don't ever uninstall it. And it's just there running in the background. Look through the things you actually use. Like, for example, I use Steam a lot. I use Streamlabs a lot. I use screenshotting tool a lot. But if you don't use any of those, just uninstall them. And I know you guys have been sick and tired of looking at my cluttered desktop as well. Well, if you want to make a quick little shot of a computer and you want to have it look clean, all you have to do is just disable your desktop icons. And wow, that is a tongue cleaner, right? Yeah, I've actually done this for a couple of beauty shots I've made of my setup, which by the way is quite a beautiful setup. I'm not even gonna lie, I love it. Yeah, here it is. This is my setup right here, guys. Now I know it's nothing special or anything like that, but here you got my webcam for streaming up here that you're looking at, and then here you have my light above me, and then you also have my PC, my baby. Yes, I chose an older case, but this is from my original Intel build as I've been going on. And really, you don't need anything special. I mean, I just have a 5-channel mixer here going directly into my computer that does my raw audio processing. And then you have my the rest of my setup, which is just some 144 hertz monitor with a crappy TV as my second monitor. Now, I know it triggers some people, including Jay. I heard from his setup video that you have 2 different monitors. Listen. All right, it's not as bad as you think, okay? Having 2 different monitors, it doesn't matter. As long as you have 2 monitors, if you're not OCD, it doesn't matter. Oh, wow, I can't believe I even had to mention that in the video, but you know what? I personally don't care. So guys, if you really like this video, make sure to leave a like. Put it in the comments if you have anything else that you want me to check out, maybe with Windows and other stuff like that, and how do you improve your performance. I'll have more videos coming in the future, but really I just wanted to get this out there. And if there is a chance that Jay actually sees this, holy crap, it's amazing you're watching my video, and I'm sorry about all the random junk I just went on gurgling about, but I hope this helps you in any overclocking battles that you're actually doing, Jay, if you're watching this video, and I really appreciate it if you are watching this video. Anywho, I'm going to stop babbling on and end the video right here. So thanks for watching, guys, and hope to see you next time.